Alrighty. So, hey everybody, welcome to class. I think this is class 14. And we are again going to start with reading, and then we're going to discuss the importance of preparation and how a change in circumstances changes what you need to prepare for.
Exactly.
And how you need to prepare, because today's circumstances and emergency circumstances, you don't get the same benefit. Okay?
Right.
So those who prepare have better than others.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm going to continue now in chapter 28.
I think it's 22. Verse 22 is.
So we'll start at verse 22 and just continue reading. So for those who need to catch up, we are now discussing everything that was prescribed.
Yes.
For the making of the tabernacle. And this is we are now talking about some of the priestly garments. All right. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate, right, measured chains of twisted work, right, of pure gold, and shall make upon the breastplate 2 rings of pure gold, and put the 2 rings upon the 2 sides of the breastplate, and thou shalt put the 2 golden chains upon the 2 rings in the sides of the breastplate, and the 2 chains which are upon the 2 sides thou shalt put upon the 2 sockets, and set on the shoulders of the ephod against its front. And thou shalt make 2 rings and fix them upon 2 sides of the breastplate, and in the border of which is the edge of the ephod inwardly. And thou shalt make likewise 2 chains and fix them upon the shoulders of the ephod beneath, towards its front, and towards the place of conjoinment above the girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt unite the breastplate with its rings to the rings of the ephod with twined ribbon of hyacinth to be joined upon the girdle of the ephod, that the breastplate may be removed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel upon his heart, what time he entereth into the sanctuary, for a good memorial before Yah continually. So this breastplate, you have the Ramiah, which sits upon the chest. The ephod is a girdle, sits upon the stomach.
Okay.
And then he has the onyx stones with the names of Israel upon them, and upon the ephod it has all the many stones and the names of it as well. So this is telling you how to construct it, or how it is constructed, how it joins together, and where it joins together. All right. All of this detail is so that should you ever find it, then you will have to put it back together in this order. How to distinguish the high priest ephod from a regular priest ephod. The regular priest will just have the girdle. Okay. And the king also has an ephod. Now, I know some of you probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but the king goes in and he has a linen ephod. And it's the stones are just set in the wood of the acacia tree.
The what?
The wood. So the acacia wood, the acacia wood, it's just wood and the stones with because he's bearing again the names of the 12 tribes upon his belly. It's a girdle, but he is wearing linen, and it's a linen ephod. Now, if you don't know where that's found, don't worry about it. Look it up. You can do a simple word search, linen and ephod, into the scripture and you'll see where my father had one. You see, so I'm sitting and I'm, letting people know what needs to be done, not from just, not from just, out of the blue,
Right.
but this is mentioned and layered, so even Aaron, when he went in before the Most High, he also wore an ephod because he was a Levite.
Right.
So most people, they don't think about any of this, and right? And because it says all the Levites, you're supposed to understand that all Levites have to do it, which includes Moses as well. So Moses had an ephod. Joshua had an ephod. It wasn't gold, it was the beginning of the linen one.
Okay, and I remember you saying about with the regular priests, they don't have the name of Levi on their...
Right, it's a different ephod design because they have the 12 tribes and they have Manasseh and Ephraim on their ephods. So they have a different stone set. So both Levi is missing and Joseph is missing. Right? So it's a slightly different variation from the high priest one.
Wow.
And that's how you can tell the designation of who gets what. Right? All the ephods may look similar or the same, but the high priest one has a different variation.
Okay.
Okay? And that's just so you can work inside, meaning the ephods don't even leave. They don't leave from the ephods don't leave from the tabernacle when the tabernacle is erected. All right? All right.
Verse 30.
Verse 30. And thou shalt put the breastplate of judgment, the Uriah, which illuminates their words and manifests the hidden things of the house of Israel, and the Tumaiah, which fulfill or perfect their work to the high priest, who seeketh instruction before them, before Yah, because in them is engraven and expressed the great and holy name by which were created the 310 worlds, and which was engraven and expressed in the foundation stone, wherewith Yah of the world sealed up the mouth of the great deep at the beginning. Whosoever remembereth that holy name in the hour of necessity shall be delivered, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart in the time that he entereth before Yah, and Aaron shall bear the judgment of the sons of Israel before Yah continually. Okay? So now you're hearing about the Uriah and the Tumaiah and the name of the Most High, which is engraved upon it. Okay? So when you read this, it tells you one exposes the truth.
Yes.
Right? And the other one is to give them a remedy. So it's to perfect their work.
Right.
So it's to help them to complete tasks and assignments.
Right. And the Uriah and the Tumaiah is actual visual.
They're
it's not
visual.
hidden.
It's not hidden. You can when you walk in there, he's got this on. This is out front. It's on top. It's the two chest plates.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Right. So pretty much the pictures that they show online of the priestly
You can't go
garment,
by nothing you see
by
online. Okay, so I'm going to say this. So the children of Israel are so lost. They're looking for some other children of Israel to be doing something similar to what is being written here, and they can't find it. So now it becomes a quest, and now you think, well, the Jews stole it, and they're doing it, and we just have to copy them. You can't copy them. They're not doing your worship at all.
Right.
You can't copy them. Okay? They're not doing it. You can't look at none of this to determine what is supposed to be being done. You have to read the instructions and build up to doing it yourself, which is what we are establishing here.
Yes.
Right? We're establishing a place of building. Right? So we're going to rebuild our culture. We're going to rebuild our people. We're going to rebuild the traditions. We're going to take from the family traditions and then refine ourselves into the perfection of the law. So most people don't even know that there is a family tradition, a oral tradition. What is an oral tradition, right? You're not going to find it in any book. Okay?
Right.
Oral traditions work like this. Okay? If you have a child living in your house, your child is keeping the oral traditions of that house.
Right.
He can explain exactly what it's like in the house. He can explain what you do in the house, what he does in the house. But in truth, until you lived in that house, you have no idea.
Right.
Right? But when that child goes in, there's all these unspoken rules and tasks and assignments which are kept traditionally in that household, right?
Yes.
So to give you what this may look like on a grander scale, right? In certain Caribbean islands, they have carnival.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes, we do.
And so this festival, right? The people who live in this island, this is like one of the most important things for them to celebrate. If you are with them at that time, you are expected to enjoy this festival.
Right.
Okay? If you don't enjoy this festival, then you are now looking upon this person's customs and traditions with disgust. This is a problem.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So now the same thing. If you come out to the Middle East and they doing Ramadan, this is their custom. They expect you to enjoy it.
Right.
If they're doing Eid, Abraham's birthday, then you're expected to enjoy it. Okay? If they're doing Moses's birthday, you're expected to enjoy it. You have to genuinely, you have to go to with the expectation of I'm going to go see this event and I'm going to observe and I'm going to enjoy it with them as I can. Okay? So now I'm telling you this because you're looking for somebody to be doing it and you're not. Why? Because anybody who knows anything about the social nature of people will tell you, okay, if these people have a certain culture and tradition exercise in this country, you're not going to get them to change from it.
Right.
You can change what you call it.
Right.
But you're not going to get them to change from the old ways.
Right.
The only people in this world who have changed from the old ways are the Hebrew Israelites.
Yes, we have.
So they've become Europeanized, they've become Africanized, and whatever otherized.
Right.
Arabized. They've become any otherized that you want to Chineseized, Japanized. You can call it what you like, but wherever they were scattered to, they've kind of adopted the cultures of those places.
Right.
All right? Now, I know I said Arabized, and you have to understand that, yes, Arab culture is Israelite culture. Okay?
Yes, it is.
It is Israelite culture, but they're not keeping it in the Israelite way. Right? Right now, the predominant way of keeping it is the Ishmaeli way, which is majority of just the culture and the traditions of Abraham and the religion as set forth by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But the majority of it is cultural. And so now after that, you have all of these divisions, all of these sects and everything else. And even the prophet said, listen, in the end, the Israelites will have this culture, but they will unite into this one. It will be this one, the true Islam. But he doesn't call it a religion.
Right.
He never identified it as a religion for the future.
Right.
Why? There's a culture. You have a law and you have a culture, and when it is perfect, it has no religion.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
There's no religion involved. And so we're reading this, and you're reading about a priest, and I know you're thinking about a church, but this priest is not like a church official. He's more like a prime minister. Okay?
Wow.
This is not a church thing. This is like this is part of a governing body, right? So what we're doing is we're going before our God, who is very real. We're not talking about a God who is religified. There is a very real presence. It is very authentic when you are here in this land. And so when you are here, you're going to have this connection. It's not a philosophy.
Right.
Philosophy is for those who don't have a connection with God at all.
Right. Right.
Okay? So when you have no philosophy, you just have a genuine connection. It is very real, and the laws are very real. This is the law as given to Moses, as given to us. It's very real. It's very practical. This is how we are. This is who we are.
Right.
Okay? Kind of like when people talk about shamans.
Yes.
The Indian shamans, they're not religious leaders.
Right.
This is part of the cultural practice to deal with the issues of a community. Okay? And we do ours by this specific book. Okay?
And one of the misunderstandings that I've seen is because people think, oh, I'm a minister, that I am of the priesthood, when the priesthood for us is through bloodline. It's not because you can preach a word.
Right. There is, that's not our practice.
Right.
Right? You read the word preach, and preach is not in the text.
Right.
Right? It's a translation as to this. And, you think of somebody standing in the streets and they are yelling, right? But for us, it is a classroom. So Enoch had a classroom, okay? Noah had a classroom, right? Noah is teaching and explaining, like, if we are to get ready for this disaster that we know is coming, these are the instructions of what we need to build to survive said disaster. Okay? So when Noah's say we need to build this, Noah is looking for a community help and support.
Right.
Noah doesn't receive that. Noah didn't receive community help and support.
No, he didn't.
Noah had to grow all the trees himself. Right? Plant and grow all the trees to make the ark for hundreds of years. Then him and his sons harvested those trees, carved and built the ark, and got on it. Now it was uncomfortable the whole time they kept working on this long-term project. It was uncomfortable. And during the flood, they were uncomfortable. They were mocked by everyone for preparing for what they knew was coming, the destruction they knew was coming. They were mocked. They were mocked by the people after they got on the ark and the rain started coming, and they were like, this is like it's regular rain. This is nothing serious. Right?
Right.
But once it got to the point that it was serious, the mockery became concern, And they began to knock on the ark again, this time to get on. And Noah doesn't let them on.
Right.
He has no instruction to do so. They were supposed to get on before it flooded. Now you want to get on and it's flooding.
Right.
So the people outside are uncomfortable. Noah is uncomfortable inside, but he's more comfortable in the uncomfortable situation of the storm and the flood.
Right.
So Noah is saved, right? I'm quite sure that ark bumped and jostled around on waves of water and flowed where it was going to go, down hills, hitting hills or whatever. It did what it was going to do.
Right.
But in their uncomfort in this flood, right? This is moving. In their uncomfort, they're not comfortable in this, but they're more comfortable than the people who outside the ark.
Right.
People outside the ark, they're drowning. That's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? They dead when the mud flew and the dust settled and everything, and they were just buried. That was it. That was it.
Wow.
You see? So when we are trying to rebuild, you're going to have to understand it's rebuilding. We have an instruction that is highly detailed so we can rebuild from scratch. You can't rebuild anything accurately with any details missing.
Right.
Which is why we have the text we have, which is why we are proceeding the way we are proceeding, and why we have the success we have. All right? Now, getting back to Exodus chapter 28 and verse 31, thou shalt make a mantle robe, a mintar mela. This is a chainmail robe of the ephod, and twined with threads of hyacinth, and there shall be an orifice in the middle of its upper part. A border shall be upon its opening round about the orifice, the work of a sewer, as the orifice of a coat of mail. So it's a chainmail coat. It shall be that it may not be rent or torn. Okay? So, chainmail, that's one of the benefits of chainmails is chainmail doesn't rip or tear.
Right.
Okay? And thou shalt make upon the hem of it pomegranates of hyacinth and purple and crimson upon its hem round about, and bells of gold among them round about. A golden bell and a pomegranate of hyacinth and crimson, a golden bell and a pomegranate of hyacinth and crimson upon the border of the robe round about. Their number 71.
71.
All right. Another thing that I want to mention here in verse 30, right? It mentions the 310 worlds.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So there's 310 worlds. I know what you're thinking. Right? Oh, planets. No. No. There's 310 peoples. Out of the 310 peoples, it gets reduced down to 71.
Wow.
So only 71 peoples are going to survive this next destruction period. This keeps getting reduced down until we get to just 71. Okay? One is the nation of Israel. Right? That's one. The other 70 is of the nations of the world. And those are those who have covenant or came in unto the covenant of the law. You don't like it? It is what it is. I didn't write the book. And I can't pick the 70 either.
Right.
So you'll see the 70 and 71 come back around a bunch of times. Okay?
Yes.
So there'll be 70 nations of the world in the end. Only 70. Right? And one. The Most High's chosen nation is his. He even counted us among the world. This is his chosen, and that's the children of Israel. Anybody have a problem with that? You could take it up with the prophets. and argue with them. I ain't got nothing to say. All right?
Well, you know, as we're reading about the robe, the pomegranate and the bells are on the robe, not on like pictures you've seen actually on their linen garment. But it's, boy, the priest was decked out. Yeah, he was decked out.
Yeah, it's on his robe, and it's layered. So it's layered specifically. You have to understand he is working, right? So he has to be able to move and do whatever. He has a procedure. He has when he has to wear the robe and when he doesn't wear the robe. He has, it's the same thing. Like, you don't have priests walking around, right? There's a reason why the priests have a mandate to wear pants that come at the shortest to the knee.
Okay.
Right? So it says if your thighs and you're naked, then your naked can't not be revealed. Well, if they all had long robes on, then there must be how the nakedness get revealed. They got on these long like dresses, right?
Right.
Well, they don't have long dresses. They're wearing tunics. It's like a shirt.
Right.
Pretty much like today.
Yes.
So they're wearing this tunic, and it's just come short.
Okay.
So the pants have to come longer,
Right.
so that if there is any movement,
okay.
it don't creep up, it don't ride up. There's no peekaboo. There's no nothing. Especially if he's working in the high place, or sitting down, or he's squatting. His nakedness can't come out.
Right.
So we'll get there. It's in here, but that's what you need to understand. Also, he cannot wear anything that makes him sweat. Right? And so if he's working by fire, he doesn't want to have long pants because the fire will burn him. You don't want the fire to hit the pants and start burning up.
Right.
So he'll wear a shorter garment because the fire is here. He's working with the fire.
Wow.
So there's another thing, there's little details that people don't really know why something is the way it is. They just go with it. All right?
Yeah.
And so in 71, and it shall be a vestment, so this is an outfit, upon Aaron to minister, and his voice shall be heard.
Wow.
Its voice shall be heard at the time that he hath entered the holy place from before Yah, at the time that he cometh out, that he die not by the flaming fire. So you're here. This is for you to hear the bells and everything else. Because if he went in there and his heart is corrupt, he's done something wrong, or he thinks he's getting away with something, he gets in there and he die, they're going to bring him out with the meat hooks. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, a crown, and engrave upon it with distinct engraving, holiness to Yah. And thou shalt put it on a twined ribbon of hyacinth to make amends for boldness of face. And it shall be on the mitre, right? The mitre is like a head wrapping, above the tefillin of the head, in front of the mitre it shall be. So it's above the tefillin, and the crown is in front of the mitre. So he has his mitre on, right? He has his tefillin on first, right? Then he have his mitre wrapped around, right? But in front of the mitre, the crown. So it's a crown, the mitre, and the tefillin underneath.
Wow.
So he has on these three pieces of headwear that he have to wear. All right? And this shall be in front of Aaron's forehead from time to time as it comes. And Aaron shall bear the iniquity of the consecrated things which the sons of Israel may consecrate, even of all their sacred gifts in which they have been insincere. All right, we're back. Oh, hold on. 1 second.
It's interesting that as we're reading about Aaron, what he has on his garments is for a particular thing, like his forehead in regards of the insincerity, the tunic for the shedding of innocent blood, the tiara, for pride of their thoughts, the girdle, everything was for a particular reason. They just wasn't clothing.
No, everything is assigned for a specific purpose.
Right.
Everything have a rule and a law to it. So he doesn't wear all of it.
Right.
It's from time to time. So when you go in to deal with certain things, you may put this on or that on, and sometimes you have to put on everything.
Wow.
You see? So if he's going in for the Day of Atonement, he have to wear everything. Because he's dealing with everything.
The thing on the Day of Atonement.
On a daily basis. So now the high priest have to show up for the high festivals. Right? So we doing Sabtot, which is the Shavuot, whatever. 2 times a year, this is renewing. This, he have to show up. He have to be there for the Day of Atonement. He have to be there for the Pesach festival. He have to be there for these types of festival events.
Right.
The Feast of Trumpets. This is the priority. He has to be there for the week of the sanctifying of the priesthood every year that has to be redone. And then he has to be there for another week of sanctifying for the tabernacle. They're separate. So there's all of these time-to-time things he has to deal with. And you don't have to wear everything every time. It's time to time. But everything is assigned to deal with or showcase a problem in Israel that must be
dealt with. So let me ask you, with the high priest, because we know that in each of the land masses of the tribes there is a priest. Is the high priest where the king is? Is that where he lives?
That's that's where the prince, right?
Yes, the prince.
The high priest that is over all.
Okay.
The high priesthood is. But there's a high priest in every tribe, multiple.
Wow.
Right? So you have multiple high priests in every tribe and in every land of the 12 tribes.
Okay.
Okay? So you don't have to think of this high priest like he's one man and he's everything and this, and it's not that.
Oh, okay.
You see? So in the end, at some point in time, we will have 13 major temple facilities.
Wow.
All exactly the same, right? The one in Jerusalem will be closed. It will be closed. It will not be open at all for strangers or any type of foolishness. It will be closed eventually. Right? But the 13 other major sites, they'll be open. But they'll be identical replicas of the original one, and we'll all be doing the same thing at the same time.
So each high priest in each place, they are the sons of Aaron.
Because we're talking about there's a whole tribe and a race of them. There will be the exact sons of Aaron, like Zadok was.
Oh, okay.
So when you talk about the sons of Zadok, these are, again, this is the family of Aaron. They will be of these sons,
Wow.
right? There's some now, like if the name Sadiq, right? If you have the name Sadiq or Sodiq, Sodiq, or Siddiq, these are variations on Sadiq, on Sadok.
Wow.
These are all variations of that name. This is a priestly name.
Right.
Okay? Da, 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 da.
Verse 40.
Okay, verse 40. And for the sons of Aaron, thou shalt make tunics. So I told you they had tunics, girdles, and mitres for glory and for praise. So they have tunics, they have girdles, they have mitres, and then they got pants. Okay? And thou shalt invest Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and anoint them, that they may offer their oblations and sanctify them to minister before me. And thou shalt make for them undergarments of fine linen to cover the flesh of their shame, and from the girt of their girdles of their loins unto their thighs they shall be. Okay? Now you say, why is he a mandate for them to have shorts? It has to go past the thighs. The thighs cannot be seen. But why stop? They're barefooted. There's no shoes. There's no shoes. So they have to have on shorts and mitres. Okay? This is uniform. They're inside and they're dealing with food and fire.
Wow.
And they're barefooted. So if you have fabric and it comes down to your ankle,
Then you can't really work.
that a spark up on your
Pants, you on
your
fire.
pants. You know what I'm saying? You're on fire.
Another Michael Jackson.
Okay? And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons at the time when they enter the tabernacle of testimony, when they approach the altar to minister in the sanctuary, that they may receive for the punishment of flame and fire. This is an everlasting statute for him and for his sons after him.
Wow.
So this is an everlasting statute. And the thing that thou shalt do to them, to sanctify them, that they may serve before me, take one bullock, the young of a bullock, without spot, and 2 rams, unblemished, and unleavened bread, and unleavened cakes, mingled with oil, and wafers. So wafers is like, we call it saja. It's the very, very thin bread, okay? It's unleavened, okay? And unleavened cakes, so it's like cornbread.
Okay.
It's cornbread. You know, we have fluffy cornbread. It got no leaven in it. Cornbread. All right? And unleavened bread anointed with olive oil and with flour of wheat, thou shalt make them, and thou shalt put them upon one basket and offer them in the basket, and the bullock and the 2 rams they shall bring in a vehicle. A vehicle. A cart. Okay? If you have an animal drawn cart, this thing will ride in the cart, in the wagon. So I know in today's time, we still use vehicles. We'll use a truck. Or we put it in the trunk of a car. But in any case, you bring the animal in a vehicle. This legal. And still done today. And Aaron and his 2 sons thou shalt bring to the door of the tabernacle of testimony, and wash them in 4 measures of living water. And thou shalt make the vestments and clothe Aaron with the tunic and the robe of the ephod and the breastplate, and gird him. And with the girdle of the ephod. So he's gonna suit up. Now when it says wash him, it don't mean wash him. Don't go washing on him. You go in here, you're going to take a bath, right? And we're going to get ready for the temple service. And so he's going to take a bath, then come out from the bath and dry himself, right? And put something on and get ready and make the wudu, washing his hands and feet at the laver, put on some more clothes and help him dress. He has to put on all of this gold and armor. It's going to be, one, very beautiful. Two, it's also heavy. It's not light.
Wow.
It's not light. It's also heavy.
It's like he has the weight of the world upon him. Well,
it's the pressure. Like you're wearing all this gold. You're getting ready to go into this service. This is the real deal. Like it's not for fake. This not for show.
Right.
This not a trick. This not ceremonial. We help him. Everything has to be right. If he goes in here and he's not dressed according to this instruction, he will die.
Woo.
No, listen, you people want to be priests? Go ahead, show up. I want you to go try it. Here, listen, in all of the Arab world, there is no Arab tribe ever try this. There's a reason
why they have it.
There's a reason. The whole Arab world knows this God. The whole Arab world knows this God. He's not for play. The way this God is, what this God say, the whole Arab world know. It's like this. That's why the whole Arab world, none try to claim or mimic this from Bani Israel. But you Europeans want to try it. Go. Do what you going to do. Try it. And thou shalt set the meat tree on his head. So you help him with his meat tree. Put the crown upon it. Engraven the holiness upon the meat tree. And thou shalt take the anointing oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. And thou shalt bring his sons near and dress them in tunics and endue them with the girdles. So put them on the same things. And his sons and wrap them in meat trees. They all help each other get dressed. And the priesthood shall be theirs by everlasting statute. It don't never change. Go try it. Go try it. Now is the time. You have everything. I've been waiting for this moment. Go ahead. We're going to see. There's a real God. We're going to see real God, real war, real death, real destruction. And we're going to talk more about that in the podcast talk after this. And thou shalt bring the bullock before the tabernacle of ordinance, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullock, and thou shalt kill the bullock before the door of the tabernacle of ordinance, and take the blood and put it on the horns of the altar with thy finger. It's very little bit. That's it. They have to sprinkle like this, very little, okay? With thy finger, and all the remaining blood shall pour at the foot of the altar. And you have to not just leave a bloody mess. This has to be buried. Okay? And thou shalt take all the fat that covereth the inwards, and what remaineth upon the caul of the liver, and the two kidneys, and the fat which is upon them, and set them in order. There's an order upon the altar, that the flesh of the bullock and his skin and his dung thou shalt burn with fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. So the skin, the chitlins, right, and the other meat and stuff is of this whole bullock. It goes outside. Nobody is eating this one.
Right.
It's the sin offering. The one ram thou shalt take, and Aaron's son and his sons shall lay their hands on the ram and kill it, and take its blood and sprinkle it on the altar round about. And the ram thou shalt divide according to its members' dividings, and wash the inward and his legs, and set them in order upon his members, upon his head. And thou shalt offer the whole ram upon the altar. It is a holocaust to be accepted with favor, and an oblation before Yah. And thou shalt take the second ram, and thou shalt, Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon the head of the ram, and thou shalt kill the ram, and take the blood and dip it on the tip of the right ear, on the tip of the ear of the sons, and on the thumbs of their right hands, and upon the toe of their right foot, and pour the rest of the blood round about the altar. And thou shalt take the blood which is upon the altar and anointing oils, and drop it upon Aaron, upon his vestments, and upon his sons, and on his sons' vestments with him. And thou shalt take of the ram the fat, the tail, and the fat that covered the inwards which remaining upon the caul of the liver, and the caul of the kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right shoulder, for it is the ram of the oblation. And one round of bread, and one round of cakes, mingled with oil, and one wafer from the basket of unleavened bread, which is before Yah, and thou shalt put all upon the hands of Aaron, and upon the hands of his sons, and shalt uplift them for an elevation. So this is where we get these elevating people, picking them up on the shoulders, right? So they're taking the blood and putting on the ear, on the thumb, and on the toe, and then they dressed, and you dump the holy oil, right? They're gonna get covered in holy oil. We're gonna pour it on them now. We're gonna dump it on them, right? And now we take the fat, the tail, and inward parts, the caul of the liver, and we're going to now cook it. We're going to burn it, burn the fat, render the fat down, burn it, burn the kidneys, roast them, but we're going to make an oblation that's going to be put in the stew. Oblation is a stew. Okay? And thou shalt take them from their hands and set them in order upon the altar, upon the burnt offering to be received with acceptance before Yah. It is an oblation before Yah. And thou shalt take the breast of the ram of Aaron's oblation and uplift it for elevation before Yah, and it shall be their portion to eat. They're going to eat it. And thou shalt consecrate the breast of the elevation and the shoulder of the separation, which have been uplifted from the ram of the oblation, from the hand of Aaron and from the hand of his sons. And it shall be for Aaron and for his sons, for by a perpetual statute for the sons of Israel, because it is a separation, and a separation it shall be from the sons of Israel, from the offerings of their consecration, their separation before Yah. And the holy vestments of Aaron shall be to his sons after him, to be anointed in them, and in them to offer their oblations. 7 days shall the priest wear them, who arises after him from his sons, but not from the Levites, at the time when he entereth into the tabernacle of ordinance to minister in the sanctuary. And thou shalt take the ram of the oblation and boil its flesh in the holy place, and Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket at the door of the tabernacle of ordinance, and they shall eat those things which atone men. They eat it.
Eating meat.
They eating it. So I said each son of Aaron has to be atoned, has to be consecrated again, and it's a 7-day consecration, and it has to happen on a certain day. For a week, they have to get up, put on Aaron's garments, stay inside the tabernacle. Right? Right? Go through this and keep watch for 7 days. Take turns eating and sleeping.
Wow.
7 days. Okay?
Yes.
And they shall eat those things by which atonement was made for them in offerings, their oblations to sanctify them, to minister before me. But the profane shall not eat, for they are holy. And if any of the flesh of the oblation of the bread remain until morning, thou shalt burn that which remaineth with fire. It shall not be eaten, for it is sacred.
So they eating meat.
And they ain't keeping leftovers.
No.
They receive a fresh portion every day.
And this is not done away with.
No.
This is everlasting.
And thus thou shalt do to Aaron and to his sons according to all that I have prescribed to thee. 7 days thou shalt offer their oblation, and a bullock for a sin offering, and thou shalt offer daily for atonement, and shalt anoint the altar in offering the atonement upon it. Thou shalt anoint it and consecrate it. 7 days make thou atonement upon the altar to consecrate it, and it shall be the altar of the Holy of the Holies. Every one of the sons of Aaron who approaches to the altar must be holy to the rest of the people. It is not lawful to approach, lest they be burned with the fiery flame which cometh from the holy place. And this is the oblation which thou shalt perform upon the altar: 2 lambs of 1 year daily evermore. So, I've said this before, and now we've gotten to this point, and I'm going to say it again because we reached this point. Please do not ask me about Shabbat. I don't want to hear about it. I know when the Shabbat is. I know when to keep it. I know how to keep it. Don't ask me about festival days.
Right.
I know when it is. I know what it is. I know exactly how to keep it. If you do not get this priesthood in order and set up the order first, get them dressed. Make everything needed for them to be dressed. Get all the materials, the food, the herbs, the seasonings, the oils, the spices. If you do not set it up and dress them and have them ready for service, and then consecrate them at the appointed time, and then start the perpetual offerings.
The everyday offering.
This is every day. They have to have a lamb of a year. Okay?
And nothing and no one can replace this.
Can't replace it. So if you don't have this going with the priesthood in order, don't talk to me about Shabbat.
And you can't just appoint somebody.
Don't talk to me about Shabbat, because if I get the priesthood in order, the priesthood have a sound of a horn that they make for Shabbats. So they just let everybody know, today's Shabbat, we Shabbating.
Right.
There's a Shabbat call to prayer. Right? And let you know we're not opening today.
Right.
Oh, you hear that horn? Yeah, nothing's open today. It's a holiday or something. I'll go figure out what it is.
Wow. So those of us who even trying to attempt keeping Shabbat, you're not doing it.
Right? And it's 2 lambs a day. So they got 1 lamb in the morning and 1 lamb in the evening. I'm going to read it. Next verse 39 of chapter 29. The 1 lamb thou shalt perform in the morning, and the 2nd lamb thou shalt perform between the evening. So this is at around 3 o'clock. Okay? The 10th of the flour mingled with oil of olives, beaten with 1/4 of a hin, and the libation of 1/4 of a hin for the 1 lamb. The 2nd lamb thou shalt perform between the evenings. It shall be as the mincha of the morning, and as the libation thou shalt do it to be received with acceptance and oblation before a perpetual holocaust for your generations at the door of the tabernacle of ordinance before where I will appoint my word to meet with thee there, to speak with thee there, and I will appoint my word to meet with the sons of Israel. Specific, not everybody.
Right.
And I will be sanctified in their rulers for my glory.
Wow.
Now you understand why we have the house of instruction. Okay? So we're going to cut here, make a mark. We're going to cut here, and we're going to continue with this reading tomorrow. And I'm getting ready now. We're going to get ready to go into our podcast. All right? See y'all in 2 and 2.